I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We are in the midst of a combined song day with Sin and Glory with the Epic Underground. These are both 2 of our premier
alliances.
Alliances. Yeah, so join them. You get
They meet up on Discord. If you want to join them, you got to get the link through Patreon.
Yes.
Starting out at $1 a month. All right, you guys. Amanda Palmer up next. A Mother's Confession is the name of the song.
Oh, boy.
Yikes. Brombit was the winner of this year's March Madness contest. Congratulations, Brombit.
Congrats!
Pretty sure Brombit's the one that's always pointing out the title mistakes when I spell something wrong or whatever. Pretty sure you're the one that always says it. I'm like, man, she needs to have a special number so she can be like, hey. So I can update him. Because I usually see it in the comment section. Anyway, Artero says she correctly picked both San Diego State and Miami to make the Final Four. So next time you buy a lottery ticket, you better take Brombit with you. This song is her pick for winning the contest. Amanda Palmer, you all, A Mother's Confession.
Congrats, Brombit. Congrats. We got the lyrics on that joint.
About to get it.
Oh boy, here we go. A Mother's Confession. Let's do it.
Our son is 4 months old. His name is Anthony, or Ash for short, and he's too small to do things by himself. We were in LA over Christmas in a rental, and we jury-rigged a place to change his diapers on a shelf. I was peeing in the bathroom and had left for just a second, 'cause I thought he couldn't move and he was safe. When I got out, I saw him falling in slow motion to the floor. It was probably the worst moment of my life. And then I accidentally stole a thing of chapstick from the Safeway. I didn't see it till we got out to the car. I would have usually returned it, but I was overwhelmed and late to take the baby to my cousins down in Carmel Bay. In my defense, I'd bought like $87 worth of groceries, and the chopstick was $1.99. I know it wasn't the right thing to use my newborn child as an excuse, but it felt like a good reason at the time. And as I pulled out of the parking lot, I cried. And as I pulled out on the highway, I said, right. At least the baby didn't die. At least the baby didn't die. And then we went to Sarasota to see Neil's cousin Helen for her birthday. She just turned 99. We were also there for Sydney, who was 94 2 days before, but he was sick, so mostly it was Ash and Helen time. She survived the Warsaw Ghetto, and she always says I love you, and she sees you 'cause she knows you never know. She'd worked for months while I was pregnant on a gorgeous handmade blanket, her almost 100-year-old hands crocheting every row. I'd been emailing her pictures of the baby and the blanket every day since she had sent it in the mail. But they were of one that someone else had knitted. She was really nice about it. Then I went and shoplifted a pair of ugly sunglasses from Goodwill. They were on my head. I tried them on and left them there, but that's not really bad compared to when we left the baby in the car. At least he wasn't in there very long, and not directly in the sun. And thank God no one walking by happened to notice what we'd done. I'm even scared to put these lyrics in a song. But everything is relative, and everyone's related. I can't do that much right now, but take care of this baby. I figure everything is technically alright, if at least this baby doesn't die. And then I took a plane to Washington alone so we could visit Jason Webley, who's his godfather and plays a mean accordion. I couldn't wait to see him and share tales of our disasters over dinners in his houseboat. When I saw I'd lost my passport, so I got a rush appointment at the place where you replaced them, and I drove the baby in, and on the way I got a speeding ticket. When the cop came to the window, I was shaking and I said, I'm sorry, but you couldn't hear me. That's how loud the sound of screaming was, 'cause he was hungry, and I think that I was speeding, 'cause I panic when I hear him cry. My God, what kind of mother am I? And as I pulled out of the breakdown lane, I cried. as I pulled out on the highway, I said, right. At least the baby didn't die. At least the baby didn't die. While I was waiting for my passport, I was hungry, so I twittered for a coffee in the neighborhood. And there I saw a woman who was sitting at the bar, and it was noon and she was drinking, and she called across the diner to me, "How old is your baby?" And she smiled at us nursing, and she said she had a daughter who was grown. And then she paused and said she also had a son. And when I'd paid and was about to leave, I picked him up and crossed the room and touched her sleeve. I said, "Hey, this baby wanted to say hi." And she held him tight and started to cry. And I'm sorry that this story's gotten long, and that everybody's crying in this song. And then I got back to the car and turned the radio and heater on and sat there with the baby in the back. And they were talking about Syria and climate change and ISIS and the candidates' positions on Iraq. I feel so useless in this universe. I know I could be doing worse. I'm trying hard to stay at peace inside. I know it's hard to be a parent, but this mess is so gigantic. I wonder if I should have had a child. And as I pulled out of the parking lot, I cried. And as I pulled out on the highway, I said, at least the baby didn't die. At least the baby didn't die. Everybody! At least the baby didn't die. At least the baby didn't die. Keep on going! I may not make it to the passport place on time. And I might get turned into the TSS, but at least the baby didn't die.
Oh my gosh. What an interesting song. There's so much to say about this song. Literally in every category.
Yeah.
One?
What an... I am so interested. I was looking at the comment section.
Yeah, it's blowing up.
It was very fascinating to watch the comment section.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
Okay, so I would say the production was interesting because it was sort of bland and boring and didn't necessarily have like these giant whatever.
No, it's just her and her piano.
But
she doesn't have a particularly...
in the way that she did her voice, it was almost like talk singing, and nothing was like super extreme.
It's almost spoken wordy.
Yeah. which I thought that was perfect, especially like given the topic. And as she's going through it and like kind of like a life of a mother type of thing. And it, like a lot of the life of a mother is the same things day in, day out. She kind of kept that sound.
A lot of this, in my view, has to do with a lot of folks in the comment section don't know what it's like to be a mother.
Right. I agree.
So I have no, like, I completely understand, especially most people are inclined to metal. I completely understand. But like, as a dude that has like watched you, like this song resonated with me a lot. This was a deeply meaningful song to me. Just watching you and your struggles as a mom and all the rest of it. But go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I want to hear.
So interesting.
I want to hear your view of the song first, and then we'll jump on it.
So at first, when she said our son is 4 months old, his name is Anthony, Ash for short, it was so like common because I was thinking, oh, we have Seneca and he's just over 4 months. He's more like 5.5 months, and we call him Sen for short. And so I'm like, well, it's not even short, but that is his little nickname, Sen. And then he's too small to do things by himself. Oh, it also matched. Then we were in LA over Christmas in a rental, and we were jerry-rigged. And we jerry-rigged a place to change his diapers on a shelf. And I thought of when we just went for Zoe's birthday to go to Applebee's. Yeah. And I had to take one of the kids to go get him changed in the bathroom. And I do not like using changing tables. They gross me out. And I used to have like, seriously, like all these sanitizers that I would sanitize a thing, then their own mat. No, I had like the setup. I don't do any of that anymore. So I'm like, I went in, I'm using paper towels, laying them on those. But like, so that was like very relatable. The jerry-rig situation, like parents find themselves in these situations. It was just so common. A place to change his diaper on a shelf. I was peeing in the bathroom and left for just a second. Ooh, this part was sad because, again, if you have kids, then you know this feeling. Like, I've never met a mother that didn't see their child falling off of something. The first time that they start moving around and they haven't been moving for months and you don't realize that it's that time, and then they end up falling. Selah fell off a bed. And like when I saw her falling off the bed, it was like, and you feel like literally like the worst person. Like you're their mom, you're supposed to protect them, and you friggin' let them fall off a bed, and they're not even like there's not even any of this. Like they do nothing to protect themselves. They just and they're just fall. So you feel really bad, and then again, that's like something that's so common. I'm in these comment sections with these mothers, and like there's so much guilt. They feel so much shame, so much guilt. Like that's just like as a mom, like that's.
The whole energy of the song, like people like I'm not criticizing anybody because I understand why. Like if I wasn't so closely approximated to your struggles, you know, like I completely get it. But even like the tenor of the song, like the whole point of the song in my mind was, this is a person that is like barely getting by and doesn't have a lot of self-confidence or resources in order to accomplish what she thinks the ideal mother could be. And so it's like, this is the best that I could do. Hey, the baby didn't die. So when she's playing the song, it doesn't go anywhere as far as like artistic whatever, because it's going right along in line with, I'm a regular person trying to do something extraordinary.
Yeah, but
so like the way that she's playing and what she's doing or whatever is like, it goes exactly with what she was trying 100%. To communicate, what she felt like as a mom. So if she would have done all this artistic, like amazing shit, like it would have been like, yeah, you're like that because you're an incredible artist. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think the entire point of, and I'd have to hear more songs from this person, but like, I think the entire point of the song is supposed to make, you're supposed to go, she's marginally talented because that's what she's portraying herself to be as a mom. You see what I'm saying? So like that made sense to me. Like I got that. It's kind of like what your discovery in Master of Puppets, where the initial solo is very beautiful. Very beautiful, and then it gets and then it goes with this crazy fast solo, and it was talking about like the progression of when you first get the drug and you feel a certain way, but then like it gets dark and then it just makes your life chaotic. Like the music was communicating what the lyrics were communicating. It was the first time I like caught something like that. So to me it's like, well, yeah, it couldn't have been like a virtuoso artistic, it had to be kind of bland because That's what she was communicating.
But that is motherhood. Like in the general sense, that is what motherhood is. It's like the day in, day out, you know, you're wiping faces, you're putting meals on the table, because you're growing like a human being, you don't realize like how important all of the aspects of it are. And like our kids help us a lot too. And that's a message that I'm constantly having to even talk to them about, is how important everything that we do when we're taking care of other human beings is. And so she just kind of goes through the song like that. And then at the end of it, like, she keeps pacifying herself with the idea that, well, the baby didn't die. And like,
right.
There's so many times, like, as a mom, like, and I've heard this communicated with tons of mothers, is that when you're pregnant, you're afraid that you're going to have a miscarriage. And you're like, I just really don't want to have a miscarriage. This would be so horrible if I have a miscarriage. And then if perhaps you make it to the delivery date, then you're worried as you're delivering the baby that there's going to be some complication that's going to make it so the baby is not born. And then if perhaps you make it past that, then the first night there's like phlegm that they're like kind of still choking on for like a couple weeks after they've been born. And you're like, are they going to choke on that phlegm? Like, is there, you know, one of the times the doctor was in the room and the baby started choking and she was talking and she kept glancing over and then she was like, and then she grabbed the baby and she started like getting really aggressive. And when I saw the doctor do that, I was like, oh my gosh, because the doctor didn't maintain a calm. That means the doctor thought there was a danger.
Agreed.
And that scared me when I saw the doctor do that. So, you know, like so then there's always like the next thing. You're always worried that like now for the first X amount of time, you're worried that something's going to happen. So I think that her saying the baby didn't die though is like sometimes that's like you help yourself by saying, okay, well, the baby survived. Like, okay, they survived another night. They survived whatever. Like, if you switch them from nursing to formula, you're like, I hope that this is not bad formula. I hope that this is going to be safe and good for them. And then once you do that and then they survive, you're like, okay, good, they survived. I'm glad that they're good. Like, some of it can become like that because it's a human life and it's not an adult. It's like this tiny little person that can't take care of themselves, and you're like hoping that you do the right thing with them. I will say, like, I found a lot of her song relatable. Not that my life mirrors her, because I have a ton of help. You're there. I have all the kids. You know what I mean? Like, we have a lot of support. Like, I'm not in this you know, situation, but I understand the struggle as a mother and how it can be. And at the end, she says, I thought it was...
Did she talk about breastfeeding? Yeah, she smiled at us nursing. You can't relate to that, Dan.
I don't remember anything about nursing.
Yeah, she called across, how old is your baby? And she smiled at us nursing.
Oh, I didn't catch the word nursing there.
Yeah, which nursing is also a difficult issue for moms. Like I get you, Dan. Like, I don't want to, obviously I'm not going to, you know, disrespect the father's contribution, and I've spent time as a single dad myself. So obviously I'm not going to denigrate fathers, but it's still different for a mom. Because
what's different? What about it? What?
Child rearing, especially baby rearing, because her chemicals have to get straight. She just went through delivery. Just going through delivery, like, we don't go through that. Delivery is a harrowing experience. So to go through delivery, to have all those chemicals, to deal with postpartum, which she kind of alluded to a little bit, but didn't go like all the way. Mm-hmm. Like, we deal with postpartum to a degree, but not at the chemical and clinical level that women deal with. So all that happens to their bodies and their chemicals before birth, during birth, and after birth is something that we're always on the outside looking in. And then, of course, there's the nursing issue, which is women nursing in public. There's sort of like this societal sort of animus against women. I
can't believe that.
Well, it's so because shocking. We have such a sexualized...
That's what it is.
We're in such a sexualized context that men are almost resentful of women using their breasts for anything other than their pleasure. Sexual pleasure.
Exactly.
So there's that undertone that men will never relate to. There's just so many things that when I watch you, you know, and then there's just this feeling that you got that I see that you're never doing it well enough, you're never doing it good enough. Women are so hard on themselves with their kids. I'm a lot more. I don't want anything bad to happen to the kids either. But if the kid falls off the bed or something like that, like it's not gonna wreck me for her. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things where, and then there's just so many.
When she said
struggle,
this,
I just could relate through you so much to the music and the song because I was like. Yeah, this is the normal, and like she's kind of stealing, but she's not stealing. She's just having a hard time multitasking, And then,
I did this exact thing. I went to the store. There was toilet paper on the bottom shelf. I didn't see it till I got out, and I had already I had 2 of the kids with me. I think 2 of the babies.
Yeah,
I put them both in the car, and then I was like, I always would go back in to pay for something like that. I justified it, but I didn't justify it by saying the baby didn't die. I justified it by saying Biden is making this ridiculous.
But another thing I think is that like motherhood does not get the like we don't have a cultural icon of the heroic mother. Like
right,
we're watching Hunger Games. You got Katniss Everdeen and all that, and like. She was pregnant, but then she lost the baby and all that. Like there isn't. We don't have like a cultural. I forgot who it says, but you can gauge a country by its heroes. And so like you can look at our feminine values, and the icons in our culture, whether they be celebrities or fictional characters. We don't have a Christine. You have like the Divine Mother, and so it's like. You have these movements that say, well, women are more than baby making machines. Of course they are. So then the pendulum swings the other way, and it's like it's fascinating because women are now in the modern world being rewarded for acting masculine. So like Katniss Everdeen's out there like shooting down planes and shit and fucking doing all this like commando shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, or Kim Kardashian is an ultra entrepreneur, and so like she gets celebrated for that. Of course, there's other things that Kim K gets celebrated for, but definitely not the fact that she's got a bunch of kids. Like her motherhood's kind of been looked upon as an accessory, and so like you have a lot of women now who don't want to be Katniss Everdeen or whoever, want to be moms, but because there's no cultural icon to celebrate that, they think they're doing. That what they're doing is insignificant, number one.
And it's literally the most significant job there is. You're human beings. Yeah,
like what got me was like you feel you're doing bad at something insignificant. And I'm like, damn, that's such a double whammy. Like that's what I got from the song. It's like I'm doing bad at something insignificant, which is why the music, in my view, was the way that it was. When in reality, when she's talking about ISIS and things like that and feeling helpless to fix the universe, and then she's like, well, at least the baby didn't die. Like, she's not recognizing, like, that's how you change the world. Like, you change the world through families. You change the world through raising a kid that won't chop somebody's head off. And, depending on your anthropology, that's a major accomplishment in my view.
Sometimes, like, because you're always, like, you're always speaking for injustice, and you're like, shooting videos, to protect this group of people or to speak out against that injustice and all this. And I don't have that same like drive to do that.
The lady.
What?
I love being a birthing person. Oh. A uterus haver who can body feed. Yeah. That's where women are now. And if you say otherwise, you're going to be Go ahead.
Shoot, do you remember what I was just saying?
We were talking about.
I was telling you something.
Like changing the world. You can change the world through your kids.
Oh yeah, because you shoot a bunch of videos and stuff like that, and like for me, like it's in my heart. I'd rather be holding my kids and reading them books or something than speaking out against the world's injustices. And I do think that it's important, obviously, to speak out against the world's injustices, but at the same time, like, when you're a mom and you have the heart of a mother, like it is interesting because there's the one side in which there's a whole bunch of women that don't want to be a mom, they want to work outside because there's a certain level of like this that you get when you're working out there and you get a paycheck and all that. But that when you're a mother and you're changing diapers and you're cleaning bottles and you're cleaning dishes and you're doing all these things over and over, if you don't realize the value in that you're raising these human beings, then it becomes a really tiring job. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of the women that don't want to do that. But then they're going to shit talk you for doing it. It's like, wait a minute, I'm doing the thing that you don't want to do, and why don't you want to do it? Like, it is a very tiring job, especially if, you know, like you said, you're dealing with the hormones. And again, I am not in a situation that the majority of women are in because I have like a crew with me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not day in, day out taking care of all the babies and everybody. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to make that clear. There are mothers that are day in, day out that they don't have a lot of help.
You're managing multiple businesses at the same time.
Right, yeah. I just want to make it that I'm not like doing all kinds of...
Well, you are, and you're managing 2 businesses at the same time.
Well, you know what's another thing too? Is I was talking to my sister and I said, I can't keep up with the friggin' laundry. And I said, and all I do, I don't even wash the clothes for all the big kids. They wash their own. And my sister started laughing and she was like, sorry. She's like, that's a husband, a wife, and 3 kids. Like, that's a 5-family house. So you're doing laundry for, that's bigger than most American families. Most American families are 4 people. Anyway, but like when she said, cause when she talked about the speeding thing and the cop pulling her over, there are times where I've been driving fast also because the baby was crying and I'm trying to get them back to feed them. And in the back of my head, I thought to myself, if I get pulled over, the cop's going to hear him crying and I'm going to tell him, look, I'm just trying to get back to get this kid feeding. And when she said, because he was hungry and I think I was speeding because I panic when I hear him cry. My God, what kind of mother am I? That part was really emotional because that is definitely like, this is I've birthed 4 children. This is my 4th birth child. And this is the first one that when he's crying, I don't feel all the panic and stress like I used to. I did for the first couple of months, but it's definitely like tapering off. But that's like a real feeling. And that's a really hard feeling when other people don't understand it. Like if the baby's crying, like literally in the pit of my stomach, I feel sick to my stomach and I feel like throwing up. I can't, like, I feel stressed out and panicky because I want to help the baby make sure he's good and he's all set. But I've gotten to the point with this one, and that's with your help, is that to realize like the baby is crying because he's just trying to communicate. That's the only way he has. He can't talk to us. The only thing that he can do is cry. So he's hungry and he's trying to let you know, yo, I'm really hungry. But when he's crying and you're starting to feel stressed out, then you feel like a bad mom because he's crying so long and you know, why didn't I think of this sooner? How come I didn't like make the shopping trips shorter or whatever? Like there's just a lot of things that come into the mind of a mother, like, and for whatever reason, it doesn't matter how good you're doing. Like I honestly think that this is one of my things of like coming up with a curriculum is there's so much guilt that like I just went on that forum. There was a mother, she said and they'll come on and they will tell on themselves because they feel so bad about it. Like they want to feel better, you know? So this mother came on and her kid, when you have chubby babies, they drink their milk and their milk gets in their neck. And then if you don't wipe that neck, which is really impossible to wipe because they're always like this, like you have to like really stretch their neck and clean it, and they're very unhappy about it. Well, this mother noticed that there was like some stuff collected in the crease and it was all red because it had been like that for like 2 days. And she's like, she's like, I don't know how this happened. And she was putting this post out there. And this mom came in and she was like, basically, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, who does this? Like, what kind of mother are you that you would let your kid stay in this situation? Like, who does this? Like, how hard is it to get a cloth and wipe the kid's neck? And why aren't you bathing the baby? Like, she just went off on her.
The internet makes it so much worse. Like, if you weren't like constituted to where you were, like, I would seriously work on discouraging you from it. But you're at a certain level of maturity. But like for a young mom in the early 20s, like those forums are so toxic and there's so much judgment. And a lot of the judgment, I hate to say it, comes from other women.
That's what it is. It's other moms.
All these moms that are talking about like formula and their formula guilt, it's mostly other women making them feel like absolute garbage.
But
like I don't want to get into like a super controversial the major topic, but like I can understand being an 18, 19-year-old girl or a 16-year-old girl and getting pregnant and being like
terrified.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Just because like I said, we don't have the cultural icon of the Divine Mother. Mm-hmm. we've got the cultural icon of like the man who goes around and like is a very vital man and you know, but we don't have the cultural icon that is celebrated and worshipped as the divine mother. So that aspect of femininity is no longer lionized in our country. So you got this 16-year-old girl. All she hears is about childbearing. On the one side is it's going to ruin your life. You're 16 years old. And then on the other side, it's, yeah, great. Have this child and enter into this sorority of nonstop judgment and failure. Like,
Because
imagine that as a 16-year-old girl.
that's crazy.
Like, I understand
Yeah.
why that person
Yeah.
who's still a minor themselves would be completely panicked and say, I got to get out of this. I have no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I have no judgments for women relative to that topic, because it just, society is constructed in we've got, to me, we're in the most anti-woman version of society
It's a mess. Yeah.
we've ever had.
It's a mess.
And now you have entire categories in which women are told, shut the fuck up, do not say anything, no matter how you feel. That's a fact. So like, that's one of the things where, like, I know I'm getting into dangerous territory, but I wish women would support each other more.
Well, and this is the
And
thing,
it's so
babe.
fractured right now. There's not a lot of support for women women.
That one woman posts that about the kid's neck. Everybody jumps on her saying, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, so many, like over 100 women jumped on this. So then everybody jumped on this one mom that was saying how horrible she was for doing that. Like, I think that her comment was terrible, but 150 women jumped on her for her comment instead of realizing the fact that she's jumping on this other mother for that means that's the type of mother she is with herself. So she's so hard on herself
That's true.
constantly
That's true.
that when somebody else has a little problem like that, she attacks
That's
her.
a good point.
So then
And it's
150
really a way
women
of
went and attacked.
it's really a way of self-critique.
Exactly.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
that's so true.
And then 150 women jumped. It's just like, when can we ever support each other instead of saying, "Hey, look, like you're probably doing this."
Well,
so
if
that,
she's reaching out for help, that means she's an awesome mother.
I know, but that's what everybody was saying. Everybody jumped on that one woman that said it, and they were like, the fact that that's what I said. I said, look, mama, there's no shame in it. The only shame is leaving it that way. Just clean her up, you're good.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, if she was the type of person that just left her baby like that, she wouldn't be on there after 3 days saying, 3 days ago I gave the baby a bath and all this panic about it. But she got a ton of support because she then turned and jumped on that woman too. So the one woman came in and she was like, what kind of fucking mother are you, blah, blah, blah. She was really horrible and toxic. But my thing is that mom needed help too. That mom needs support too. Like, the fact that she's at that point. Because then everybody in the comment section turned on that one mom, including the author of their post. She was like, she went after her too. So everybody did. And my thing is, we have to recognize that all of us are in a hard place. Like, why we went in there to protect that one mother from the criticism, not realizing that other lady is really far gone, that she would even come into a comment section and do that.
But again, that comes from your experience and your insight.
But all it is, we're all in the same place. We're all feeling bad.
We're very big on self-awareness and things like that, and it's impossible to not be self-aware in our household. And I'm glad that you're such a blessing to those women, but. I hear Delaney saying, like, she just doesn't feel empowered as a woman. She's saying, why have kids? Like,
oh my gosh. Okay, I was going to say, that is the one part in which I disagree with her, because when I look at she was saying, like, then I get back in the car and turn the radio and the heater on. I sat there with the baby. See, she turns on the car and the radio
talking
and the
about
heat.
Syria, climate change and ISIS.
She's using the stuff that's making it worse to keep her baby good. Right?
Well, the environment, right? Because people are talking about the environment,
climate change,
right?
Stuff like that. And
It
says she got back into the car.
Footprint. Yeah.
Exactly. So she's trying to take care of her baby, but while she's taking care of her baby, she's increasing the footprint. And I've noticed that with the more kids I get, the more footprint I make.
Yeah.
There's no avoiding that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to be honest with you, that is not, because she says, I feel so useless in this universe. I know I could be doing worse. But again, she's saying I could be doing worse than this, instead of saying, like, you are raising a human being. Like, the most valuable thing in the entire universe is human beings.
Yeah.
And we as women get this unbelievable privilege to, like, sometimes I think about it and it's almost like something from some freaking alien show. Like, we in our bodies are going to carry human beings. We take part in that process.
Here's one thing about the patriarchy that I think is absolutely brilliant. I think this is probably the most brilliant move that the patriarchy ever did, which is to elevate the arenas where men are dominant as universal.
What did this?
Patriarchy did
Okay, go ahead.
And to denigrate the things that only women can do. So when a woman is empowered, the symbology of an empowered woman is not a woman in a dress with a child on her hip. Okay. It's a woman in a pantsuit with a briefcase.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm sorry, that's our world. I've been in that world. And yes, there are women who climb that ladder. But the sacrifices those women have to make, men do not make. Because I've been there.
Right.
Women at the top of those ladders generally don't have families. Men at the top of those ladders do have families. They get... So like, the icon of the empowered woman is a woman operating in a man's realm. And so we know that that's always going to be home field, and we'll always have the advantage there. That's why people talk about the wage gap, whatever. Whether or not you believe in the wage gap, I was in corporate America. Women in authority get treated differently than men in authority. It doesn't matter if it's like in the gutter, no disrespect, of like a distribution center, or if it's in the upper echelon of a Fortune 1000 company, which is what I worked for before we went off ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like... So it's fascinating. So, like, that's the craziest thing the patriarchy ever did, was to tell women that the way to be empowered is to act like us. And then what's happened is now the lines between femininity, now women aren't even allowed to say I'm a woman anymore. So now we've like completely encroached upon feminine identity, and the very thing that separates females from women at a biological, theological, philosophical level, the ability to be the carrier of life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And to be the shaper of the next generation. You know, like in our tradition, we've got guys like Augustine. Honestly, in the Western world, Jesus Christ, the Apostle Paul, literally third in line is Augustine. As far as influence on the Western world, Augustine, I mean, look, the Protestant Reformation was called Augustine's Doctrine of the Church versus Augustine's Doctrine of Salvation. And all of us know about Augustine that it was his mother, Monica, who prayed him into Christianity.
Right.
She had a good
vision
mother.
And all that.
The same thing with the early revivalists in America, the Wesley boys, you know, John Wesley and all those guys. It was their mother. And so these women are memorialized in Christian history, not for being barefoot and pregnant, but for being active in the development and the shaping of the minds of the sons. Mm-hmm. And you even see this in the Bible where Paul talks about, your mother Lois and all this, who taught you these things. Mm-hmm. And even in Proverbs, where it says, at the beginning of the book, it says, my son, listen to the instruction of your father and the wisdom of your mother.
Right.
And Proverbs actually ends with a mom giving wisdom to her son, the king. So there's this idea that no, women are not baby factories, but they're the givers. She's called Eve. She's the mother of all the living.
Yeah.
And
I mean, for God's sake, people give more respect to Mother Earth.
Even when I was in New York City, the gangs, the Latin kings, like all of their laws, because these gangs, they have bylaws, all their laws surrounded the Latin woman and protecting the Latin woman, and that one Latin woman was worth 100 Latin kings. Like, it's on there. And it's true. Like, now I will say there's a lot of domestic violence in that community. I'm not gonna lie.
That's what I was gonna.
But if you were an outsider in that community, you put a hand on a Latin woman, like, it's over for you. Whether she's in the gang or not, like, it's over for you. And everybody knew that. Like, I knew killers that knew that and wouldn't do that shit. Didn't want that kind of energy. So, like,
that's pretty cool.
But what the patriarchy has done now is, like, that's completely denigrated. And I know what Dan's going to say. Dan's going to say, no, the patriarchy didn't do that. The feminists did that. It's like, yeah, but the patriarchy decides what movements they're going to celebrate and what movements they're going to crush.
Right.
And that movement was because now look at it. You've got women who they cannot demand any commitment for sex because that's gone. Now they can't even demand their own spaces in the fucking bathroom. Anna Kasparian comes out and says she's a woman. It's like Like, they have absolutely no support. So this woman is saying at least the baby didn't die. That's like winning winning a lottery ticket, or like winning $60 million and being like, at least I paid the rent. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're literally, that's how you change the world, is that you teach that child to take care of the planet a little bit better than you. You teach that child to love foreigners. And so maybe the way that you vote influenced how ISIS came about. ISIS came about because we went into Iraq under false pretenses, destabilized that region, and then the vacuum got filled as my high school sociology teacher told us about ISIS in fucking 1996.
Unbelievable.
He said, we're never going to go and depose Saddam Hussein, because if you do, there's going to be a giant... Look at all these other countries. They would just...
it's so obvious.
And, like, everybody... So my point is, like, yeah, you can address those issues, mama, by teaching your kid.
And that's what I was gonna say. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
When she said, where was at the end? When she was saying like that she didn't even know if she should have had. I wonder if I should have had. Okay, a gigantic mess, because she talks about getting into the car, turn on the radio, the heater on, and sat there with the baby in the back, and they were talking about Syria, climate change, and ISIS, and the candidates' positions on Iraq. I feel so useless in this universe.
Yeah.
I know I could be doing worse. And that's kind of like the you'll try to, well, I could be doing worse, but that doesn't really help. It doesn't, but saying I could be doing worse doesn't make you realize I am doing the most important work. And then she says, I'm trying hard to stay at peace inside. I know it's hard to be a parent, but this mess is so gigantic. I wonder if I should have had a child. And like I said, that was the part that I all of it I could throw in with her. That's the one part that I actually don't feel that way, because when I look at my kids, I have so much hope for what they're going to be and what they're going to do in the future. Like, I've got one of my kids that anytime we drive by a homeless person, she wants us to stop so she can give them something, whether it's gum from her pocket, pizza from her pizza box, or money from her pocket, whatever she has, she wants to give stuff to the homeless person. I have another one that for years has been donating to St. Jude, not by anything that we have said that inspired him to do that. He saw the stuff for himself. He felt moved and motivated to do something about it, and he did. I've got another one that's donating for something else. I've got another one that's got a heart as big as anything, and she recognizes if somebody's hurting and she's there to help them, whatever. Like, all of my kids, they all have something special and something amazing, and I know that the care and concern that my kids are going to give and they're going to bring to this world is going to make this world a better place. Yeah, are they always going to make positive choices? No.
The reason you don't feel that way, like, you've got theological grounding for that. You're a post-millennialist.
Yep.
Right? So your view of the future is that the future is going to get progressively better.
Right.
Right? So you're going to say, well, shit, the solution to all these problems in the world is to have more kids. Right? Because you already have that underpinning. And you have Eve and Mary and Perpetua and Monica. You have images of the divine feminine in a mothering role that the church, I mean the church has almost over exalted the divine feminine in the Blessed Mother, right, where now you're praying to her and all this. Like, you absolutely have a model of the divine feminine that is celebrated.
Yeah, it's there if it's there for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, even at a subliminal level, it's there. Right? The secular women don't have that.
Oh my gosh, not even that.
They don't have, that's what I'm saying. There are no icons of the divine feminine in a secularist context. They've got Kim Kardashian and they've got Hillary Clinton, right? Like, literally, that's the spectrum.
And Rihanna, she went up there showing her belly.
Yeah, but, and then you saw, but most pregnant women are not like Rihanna. Most pregnant women are not going to shake their ass in front of 100,000 people and get celebrated for it. Rihanna actually represents the antithesis of the divine feminine, to be honest with you, because she does not carry herself like a pregnant woman carries herself. That's not how pregnant women carry. It's just like I said about like these trans protesters who beating the shit out of this woman and yelling and screaming with all that bass in their voice. Like, that's not how normal everyday women on the ground operate. They just don't. They don't operate that way. So like, you are like, that's the, because you have all of this.
Wait, I'm like, that's the what?
You have this mind and the template,
and that's why I'm saying no. I have
to some degree, you have me that'll can kind of shape that.
100%, 100%.
Okay, but what if all you had was Kim Kardashian in one end and
Rihanna
fucking,
on the other? My God.
What's her face? Hillary Clinton on the other end, and those were the two massive icons that you have. Like, what would...
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's nothing for
That's
them.
what I'm saying. There's no divine feminine in secularism.
Oh my God, that's such a crazy idea.
So you get somebody who, obviously, in my view, obviously, you got Delaney, 16, 17-year-old girl who's like dialed in on what's going on in the world, dialed in on what's happening in the country. I'm like, if anybody should have a child, it should be her. Out of that generation, it should be her. Like, have 15 kids, Delaney. But there's not a lot of hope, and she doesn't understand how incredible she is and how incredible of a mother she would be.
But do it with somebody that you like. You can respect that person and build with that person.
You gotta Delaney, find a man that's going to be an actual man, not this modern shit.
Yeah.
Like, find a dude like who understands his role, provide, protect. That's his role. That's your role. Be a house band. Be a band around the house, and then trust me, the girls will figure it out. She'll make the place a habitable environment because we're savages. Well, you did, like you made the place a habitable environment for life to. Good night. We had organisms and shit in this place. And I'm going to talk about it. But anyway, that's where I'm at with the song. Like, I completely understood the song. I understood everybody's reaction to it. But this song to me is a
I bet we went long on this one.
9.5. I'll give it a 9.5. It's a very, very interesting song. There's so many things to say.
Yeah. I honestly could talk like a lot longer on this, and I am quite sure that at some point in my future, when I'm doing what I have plans for, this song I'm sure will get used.
Good. The divine feminine, that's a nice occultist term. I like it, and I think you're not the same as you guys were a few years ago. Well, I hope I'm not the same as I was a few years ago.
Yeah, really.
If you're not growing, you're dying. Would you give it?
I better be different than I was 5 years ago. 9.6.
All right. Go hang out at a gas station roughly at 5 a.m. and tag a high vis vest. You got yourself a man. Not a man, a man. We shall return, dear listener. I didn't really understand that joke.
I didn't either, but it was funny to read. Funny sounding. Not a man, a man. A vest? You got yourself a man. Not a man, a man.
All right, guys. We shall return. There's more music on the way.